Trinity College in Dublin is confronting some of its more uncomfortable legacies from its 430-year history. The college is inviting submissions on whether the Berkeley Library, which is named after Bishop George Berkeley, who was a slave owner at one point, should be renamed. Changing these names, is it erasing history or is it indeed progress? I'm joined now by John McGuirk, editor of Gript Media, and Dr. Ebun Joseph, who is founder of the Institute of Anti-Racism and Black Studies in Dublin. John, I'll come to you first of all. It's fair enough, isn't it? Like, why would we retain the name of any building, any library, if the person who maybe at the time was considered someone we might have celebrated, if the sands of time have proved otherwise?
Well, I'd question, good morning, first of all, Ciara. I'd question where we would stop, because I don't know why, for example, we wouldn't rename the months of July and August, named after Julius Caesar and Augustus Caesar, respectively, the first of whom enslaved almost all of Gaul, crucified whole villages, Gaul being France, of course, and the second of whom did the same to the Germans. So, I mean, we have actual months of the year called after people who did things many times worse than poor George Berkeley. Most people listening, hopefully I'm wrong about this, but I suspect many people listening may not know much about Berkeley. The knock on him, as I understand it, is that he bought some land in Rhode Island at one point in his career, which was mainly as a philosopher and writer and politician here in Ireland, and that land was as was the case with many American plantations at the time, had a small number of slave laborers employed on it. Terrible, of course, absolutely terrible. Slavery has since been abolished. It has rightly been abolished. There is no proposal that I am aware of to bring it back. So the question that we're now posed with is whether or not we should reach back through history to punish George Berkeley for his sins by symbolically striking his name from the wall of a building in Trinity College, Dublin. I think that is an abject, utter, total and complete nonsense.
Okay.
The very idea that we should suddenly start retroactively judging history and delivering verdicts on people who lived in different eras according to the standards of our time essentially means that you cannot do it consistently without obliterating most of history.
Okay.
Because as
I take those points and they're well made, in fairness to you. Let me bring Ebun in now. Ebun, do you agree?
I think that, that is so against what we believe in the world we live in today, inequality. It's like saying that, oh, you know what, this man is so nice, he did so many amazing things, but he only killed somebody 20 years ago. But, it was 20 years ago, so we just forget about it. And since, we didn't catch it then, we are not going to do anything about it now. It's so easy for people whose families, whose names, whose identities are not still being impacted by the enslavement of black bodies to come out and say anything. Till tomorrow in the Americas, even in the Western world today, people who are black still suffer from the imagery that enslavement of black bodies had. They are still suffering from it. So it's easy for somebody who's never experienced racism, who's never had to explain to their child why, they experience all the things they experience in school, to say, oh, you know what, where do we stop? We have not even started. That's what we're saying. So you can't start talking about where we stop when we have not even started.
Okay.
If some...
I'm going to let John. Ebun's point is I'm not sure if many people who are still around today are suffering the effects of Julius Caesar, but it could be true to say that there maybe are people whose maybe grandparents were enslaved and things like that who are still alive today that this would be offensive to.
Well, let's extend that point and talk about the effects of things that happen today, because we're talking about something that's going to happen in Trinity College, Dublin, a college founded by Elizabeth I just 400 years ago. Elizabeth I also, as we know, engaged in the plantation of Ulster, attempted the plantation of the rest of Ireland. The consequences of that on this island are very much felt today. So why are they stopping at Thomas Berkeley, who was an acolyte of that same establishment? Why not abolish the whole thing? Ebun's idea is essentially, if you boil it down to, the fact that evil can deliver no good at all, that we can only judge the past by its most negative aspects.
Okay.
I want to finish this point because it's important. we haven't had any conversation this morning about the positive things that Berkeley did. He did both positive and negative things in his lifetime. We choose to remember him for the positive, and we can openly condemn the negativity that he was involved in. But Ebun's standard appears to be that you can only be remembered throughout history if you were at all times and in every aspect of your life a saint. I think that is neo-Puritanism. Okay. I think that's what we have here. It's neo-Puritanism.
Yeah, Ebun, are you a neo-Puritan?
Can I just come in quickly? Actually, when you started, when he started, you only talked about about that. I actually mentioned that even if he's done some good things and he's done one bad thing, that the weight of the bad thing that he's done still needs to be weighed. Maybe it's time for us to rewrite how we capture history. It might not mean it might mean that we need to recreate a whole new space where we have a store of those things. There are new people who are doing amazing things. It's time to change that. There are people who have been able to do great things. We should put those people's names up now. Do you know what I mean? That we should not hold on to something that is wrong.
So you're accepting John's point. He's saying that yes, it doesn't. You don't mind if someone did good things and bad things. That it's the bad thing that needs to be focused on.
No, I'm saying that if somebody did good things and bad things, that the good things that you have done. Look, you're saying because I give you a job, I have the right to rape your daughter. Do I?
Absolutely not. No, absolutely.
Do I? Because I'm your employer, do I have the right to rape you?
Sorry, this is just bizarre. It's bizarre. It's bizarre ranting at this stage. And by the way, can I say something here? Talking about replacing Berkeley's name with somebody else, the proposal live in Trinity at the moment is to rename the Berkeley Library, I kid you not, Ciara, the X Library, after a letter of the alphabet. Because, why? Because they can't agree on anybody who might be worth commemorating. They literally want to eradicate the history of the institution and the people in the institution and replace it with a letter X. But I don't honestly know, Ciara, why we're having this debate on radio, because it will make no difference. 95% of the people in the country, I suspect, asked about this will say it is madness, but it will make no difference because it will go on anyway, because people like Ebun in academia, the problem in Ireland at this point is that academia in Ireland has gone utterly crazy, and it makes no difference what people think. This will happen regardless. But we're here.
Let Ebun come back, because I'm going to give Ebun the last word. I gave you the first word, John.
Actually, Ireland is years behind. In South Africa, yet we call them underdeveloped world. In South Africa, years ago, that's where roads must fall. The Cecil Rhodes statue it happened over 7 years ago. We are still 7 years after, still trying to even just say only one to go down. He said that, so we are very many years behind.
South Africa.
I'm not saying that.
No, I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it there, but thank you both for that. I do appreciate you both for coming on and talking to us about this. That was John McGuirk, their editor of Gript Media, and Dr. Ebun Joseph, who's the founder of the Institute of Anti-Racism and Black Studies in Dublin.